When you sign on to Wiley Plus and click on the assignment tab, this will show you all the assignments you have due. So currently, as I click on this, I see I have a set of assignments due, and notice there's three different types: questions, Orion, and mastery. Let's start with Orion. When you click on Orion, this will open up the policies, which tells you how many questions you have left to do. So I still have 23 questions left. I must answer those 23 questions, a minimum of 23 more questions, to get my grade in Orion. Now my grade in Orion will be based on this progress bar down here. So if I'm 80% proficient, if I look here, let's say 78% proficient, that's between a 60 and an 80, so I'll get 9 points. If I'm above 80% proficient, whether I'm at 81 or 100 or 95, I'll get 10 points. So if you have an Orion assignment, when you open it up, see how many questions you have left to answer, and then you can go on over to Orion and do it. We have a whole video on explaining how Orion works, so watch that video if you're not aware of Orion. So Chapter 3 Orion, I haven't started any, so I still have all 50 questions left to answer. So if your assignment type is Orion, you click on it to see how many questions you have to answer, the minimum number, and you have to get those done by the due date to get your grade. Each question in Orion, you get one attempt, but you can keep attempting more and more questions as long as you get to that minimum of 50 or whatever it is. If the assignment type is questions, then you have to click on it to figure out what the policies are. Questions always have a number of attempts per question. So sometimes it's one, sometimes it's three, sometimes it's five. So here the attempts per question is 3. So I can do each of these questions up to 3 times. So I do it the first time. If I get it wrong, I can do it a second. I can do it a third time. Also notice down here, question assistance, there's links and there's answers. The links are always visible, the answers are not. So if I come down here, I can click the link to text. That will open up an appropriate section in the textbook that will help me answer that question if I'm having problems. So if I get this question wrong, when I submit my answer, I will get some feedback, and then I will be able to answer another question in there. So once again, when your question type isn't, when your assignment type is questions, click on the assignment, and that will tell you how many attempts you get per question, and also give you some information about your links. Once again, you have to have that done by the due date to get your grade. So if I open up this question assignment, its assignment type is again questions. Once again, there's 3 attempts per question, but now this one has hints and links along with answers. The answers are never visible. The hints and links are always visible. So when I look at this question, I can click the link to text, I can click the show hint, I can click the link to video, and it'll open up a video that may help me in answering this particular question. Once again, I have to answer that question. I have 3 attempts. If I don't get it in 3 attempts, I'm going to get 0 credit. If I do get it, then I'll get how many ever points this question is worth. Sometimes they're 1, sometimes they're different. So you need to look at that to determine that. This is a drawing question. We have a video on how to use the drawing question. So if you click the question mark, you can go to those how-to video tours. So you have 3 types of questions or assignment types in your assignment. You have questions, which give you a number of attempts per question. So you look at that, you click it open, you see how many attempts you have on each of those questions. 3 attempts, 5 attempts, whatever it is. So make sure you read that, then answer your questions, and make sure you get it done in up to those 3 attempts to get full credit for that. You can't restart it, you can't have an unlimited number of attempts. Orion, you click on it, it tells you how many questions you have left to answer. With Orion, you have to answer a minimum number of questions. Once you get them done and the due date hits, you'll get your grade there. The last type are the mastery assignments. This is a slightly different type, so you need to be very careful. When your assignment type is mastery, you have a much different pathway through the question than you do with Orion or question types. Orion, you have a minimum number to answer. Once the due date hits, if you've hit that minimum number, your proficiency score gives you your grade. Questions, you have a minimum number, you have a maximum number of attempts per question. So you get 3 attempts per question, 5 attempts per question. Once you've hit those attempts, no matter if the due date's hit or not, you're done with that question. If you have 3 attempts and you make all 3 and don't get it correct, you get 0 points on that question. With mastery, you always get 1 attempt per question, and you're told right here what your thresholds are. So if you get 80% or more correct, you receive a 10 out of 10. So if I get 8 of these or more correct, so if I get 8 of the questions correct, 9 of the questions correct, 10 of the questions correct, I get a 10 out of 10. If I get between 50 and 80, 5, 6, or 7 correct, I get a 5 out of 10. And if I get less than 50, I get a 0 out of 10. So I open up this question. I go through the first question, and I think this is the answer. So I'm just picking the first one. I submit my answer. I only get one attempt, so after that I get some immediate feedback, I get the correct answer, and then I go on to the next question. And I go through all 10 questions this way. So let's assume that I've gone through all 10 questions, I've answered all 10 of these questions, and I've submitted all my answers, and I've gotten them right or wrong. At this point, I'm done, I have a grade. That grade is in the grade book. Let's say it's a 5. I click reset, I get a new set of 10 questions which I can then go through. So every time I go through these ones that say mastery, so that's the key. These are the ones that say mastery. When you go through those ones that say mastery, you click on those and do those. You go through the list, you get a grade. So you might get a 0 or 5 or a 10 depending on how your grade is. But then you can click reset. So I open up this question. Maybe I get the first 2 or 3 or 4 questions wrong. At that point, I'm like, okay, well, I can't figure this out. I'm not getting this correct. Let me reset it and do it again. When you read these, though, when you go through these questions, you're going to get immediate feedback and the answer. Read this, understand this, because this will help you continue to answer these questions correct. Maybe it takes you 2 or 3 times through. You have to reset it 2 or 3 times before you get it all done, and get your 10 out of 10. But if you read the feedback, see what you did wrong on each of these, you're going to get through these a lot quicker. So once again, mastery assignments. You get a threshold grade, 0, 5, or 10, based on how many you get correct. 8 or more, 10. 5 to 7, you get a 5. 0 to 4, you get a 0. After you've gone through this set of 10 questions, you can hit the reset button, and you get a new set of 10 questions. And you can keep doing that as many times as you want until you've reached your desired 10 out of 10 score. So when you see a list of assignments, when you're doing those assignments, pay attention to what they are. Orion, there's a minimum number of questions you must answer by the due date to get your proficiency score as your grade. If it's a questions, you have a maximum number of attempts per question. So you go through those attempts. Once you're out of those attempts, you can't answer it anymore. You got a 0 on that question. Go on to the next question. Mastery, you can go through the quiz as many times as you want. You only get 1 attempt per question, but once you've gone through and you've gotten a grade, whether it's a 0 or a 5 or even a 10, you can do them again and again and again. You get that instantaneous feedback and you get the answer, so you can figure out what you did wrong and then try and get through again. So go through these questions again and again till you master the material. These mastery questions are extremely important for building your confidence, building your mastery as you head towards your test.